Welcome to the very first Revolution Washington podcast. And I didn't think there was any better way to kick it off besides telling you what we're all about here. What my goal is for this platform is to get people on both sides of the aisle to meet in the middle and have an intelligent discussion to move this country forward. I believe that if we take everything each and every one of us want in this country and we break it down to the basics, we all agree on 75% of what we want this country to be. And if we start our conversations from there, even though we may have different ways of getting there, we should be able to take a lot of the anger and animosity out of the society as it is. There's no reason for it. It shouldn't be here. And it's basically something that's been tearing us apart as an already great country from day one. Having said that, we need to understand how we got where we are. And we will start with Mr. Donald J. Trump. When Mr. Donald J. Trump started his run, he had always been sued over 4,000 times for various things. He has a MO of taking the lawsuits and delaying them until the other side runs out of money and can't pay to delay the suits anymore or can't pay to defend themselves, and they're forced to drop the lawsuits. That is how he's done it. He's always had an unlimited wallet because his father used to open the wallet to him his entire life, trying to bail out his businesses and help him in any way possible. When he finally got into the office, however he ended up in the office with Russia's help, with anyone else's help, with fake electors, what have you, he did one very, very, very important thing, which brings us all the way up to today, and it explains it all. He stacked the deck knowing that all of his indiscretions in the past, all of the things he did from the beginning, were accumulating all of these skeletons in his closet, whether it's the women, the allegations from women, the things that turned out to be true, the business frauds, all the other stuff, the taxes, all the games he's played, all the cons he's played. By running for president, that act alone opened up a whole new level of microscopes that man was not ready for. He has always done these things all the way back to the 70s and 80s. These acts are nothing new. Not paying people is nothing new. The fact that Rudy Giuliani hasn't even gotten paid does not surprise me one bit. That's who this man is. There is always an excuse not to pay. Having said that, he came into this knowing he's going to need support for some very, very important groups. So the Heritage Foundation and the religious organizations got together and said, we have a candidate that will get rid of Roe versus Wade. We have a candidate that will get into office and basically first thing set everything up to get rid of Roe versus Wade. The Heritage Foundation and the Republican leaders sat the evangelical leaders and the Christian and Catholic leaders down and said, we will get rid of Roe versus Wade, but we need your unwavering, undying support on every single level of every single platform. And no matter what comes out about this person, you need to defend him. The religious leaders accepted all to get rid of Roe versus Wade. That is how we got such a big, huge religious following behind the least religious man on earth. That's how it happened. They got rid of Roe. Now they sold their souls, and now they've got to do what they got to do. So when Donald John Trump was elected president, he went to every jurisdiction of every property he has. He went to every jurisdiction of the Biden family, the Clinton family, the Obama family, any businesses they're tied to and everything. And he personally interviewed and chose all of the appointable positions, all the judges, all the lawyers, all the prosecutors, whole nine yards, anyone he could appoint to be Trump loyalists, because it's all about loyalty. He specifically went and hired them himself, which is why we have Eileen Cannon where he is, which is why we have the special prosecutor that went after and prosecuted Hunter Biden. That's why a lot of these people are in place. And he had the deck stacked so well, the Heritage Foundation even gave him a list of names for the Supreme Court justices to make sure not only they'll overturn Roe v. Wade, but they'll also do everything he needs to do when these skeletons start coming out of the closet, which naturally he knew they were going to do. He would have people stacked up to prevent them from going to a full-on prosecutorial level. So what was done was 2 of the 4, as example, judges in the jurisdiction of Mar-a-Lago, which he knew there was going to be a lot of skeletons in that closet, so he needed to stack the deck. He was able to appoint 2. The luck of the draw literally gave us Eileen Cannon, who all the way up to last week has done everything in her power to get rid of or delay this case so it goes beyond the election, which is the main goal. He appointed every single person he could that would be able to use the Trump loyalty to basically put a kibosh on the investigation, put a kibosh on the legal proceedings, or all out throw out the case. Now, Judge Cannon, for example, was such a incredible lapdog married to a Russian mobster. She has done everything in her power, including waiting for the SCOTUS to come down with their immunity decision, and in that immunity decision was a personal love note from Clarence Thomas, the most corrupt Supreme Court justice in the history of this country, actually sending a note directly in the decision to Eileen Cannon, questioning the validity of the special counsel appointment of Jack Smith, who is a 97% conviction rate and a war crimes special prosecutor. He is the most badass special prosecutor in the business. 97% conviction rate. Now that right there scares the hell out of Donald J. Trump and everybody in Congress, everybody in the Senate that has anything to do with Donald J. Trump, because what is at stake for these people, and the reason why Congress and Senate and everyone else keeps delaying these J6 case, the documents case, all the other stuff that's stacking up against Donald Trump, is some of these things included in the process are crimes they committed as well. And if the evidence never sees the light of day, neither do their crimes, which means they get away with it. So all of this is about stacking the deck. So when Eileen Cannon did something that was wrong, it went to the 11th Circuit. The 11th Circuit said, no, you can't do this. And basically she had to change it. Hell, when she was assigned the case to begin with, the bosses said, you need a SCIF room. You need to build with taxpayer money a SCIF room to be able to look at these top secret documents that you would be presiding over on how secretive they actually are. That SCIF room is nowhere to be used again in that county ever again after this case. She insisted on keeping the case. She did not relinquish the case to people who were more qualified. Mind you, she had 10 cases in front of her up to that point in her entire career, 10, including speeding tickets and crap like that. And now she's at the most sensitive of intelligent documents, so national security documents case. Fast forward to Judge Thomas questioning in the Supreme Court decision granting Donald J. Trump presidential immunity but not personal immunity, which means every single piece of evidence has to be weighed out, whether or not it's personal, whether or not it's presidential, and what has to do with whether or not he has immunity. Including in that, as I said, was questioning the validity of the appointment of a special counsel. Now, Eileen Cannon just last week put her decision forward to dismiss the documents case altogether, which of course triggers Jack Smith and the prosecution team to file an appeal with the 11th Circuit, which they will of course reinstate Jack Smith. They will not let him go. They will also put the case back down on the dockets and assign another judge, which means there is one more Trump loyalist judge in that area and 2 that are supposed to be there just to do their jobs. So it goes back to one of the 3 of them, and then it moves forward. And it will continue to move forward, especially if there are Democrats in the White House, Democrats in the House of Representatives, and Democrats running the Senate. That is when justice will be done. Having said that, we have Trump team, when it goes back, will appeal it again. They will keep trying to push it up, because if one appeal does not work and their person that they put into place was not able to completely stop it, their appeals will continue elevating the situation, which eventually will land in front of the most powerful court in this country, the Supreme Court, which, as we know, is in Trump's back pocket as a majority. Now, when the Democrats win 2024, when the Democrats take over the House, the Republicans will still try anything to hold on to any power they have. They will try contesting the results of every election. They will try January 6th without the power to have January 6th. The difference is, because the president was granted presidential immunity, anything that's done under the guise of being president within the job description of being president, like stopping an insurrection or stopping a coup or forcing a case to move forward for the security of the country, would be considered under presidential powers, and technically, by the decision passed down from the Supreme Court, would fall under Joe Biden having presidential immunity. So I think that is the absolute worst case scenario in all this. The problem is, we still have Trump loyalists throughout the government. We have Trump loyalists all throughout the House of Representatives, and these Trump loyalists are going to stop at nothing to try and not only put Donald Trump back in power, but also try and stop everything that Joe Biden attempts to do to make this country better, just doing his job. Just like they did on the price gouging, just like they did on a whole bunch of different veterans benefits bills. That's what, like they did on a whole bunch of different immigration reform and different border control measures that Joe Biden and the Democrats had put up and were voted down by every single Republican in the House. Therefore, never happened unless Joe Biden were to do a executive order like he did on the last measure of the border. So this is how it is stacked, and this is why we are where we are right now. The frightening part about this is that in this election, there is a roadmap that has been published that everybody can read. This roadmap is Project 2025, and no matter how much the Republicans or Donald J. Trump want to pretend it's not a guide map to what they want to do with this country, there are Republicans nationwide verbalizing the most horrific of these laws. Now, if these Supreme Court justices stay where they want to be, and if Trump gets back into office, there is talk about Eileen Cannon, the most unqualified judge to have any federal position, not much less handle a classified documents case. They are talking about, Donald J. Trump is talking about putting her in the Supreme Court, because the next president will have two. We need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is a stacked deck. This is the media now leaning more red than blue. This is CNN and MSNBC and all of these stations that are now going a little bit more on the red side with their coverage. They are now speaking a little bit freer about Republican talking points, like Joe Biden leaving the race and things like that. This is dangerous. And we need to recognize, no matter how many distractions come our way, the most important thing we could do is vote for who represents us as Americans, who represents the actual things we are upset about, and finding the solutions for the things we are upset about. And if we don't realize that it is in our hands, no matter what side of the party we're on, we need to put who represents us best in every situation possible. And I'm pretty sure anybody who wants women's rights, anybody who has daughters, anybody who knows the horrors that women can go through without abortion care and women's health care, knows that that is an important issue. And they also should know that the Republicans are trying to take those rights away from every woman in this country, and in many states they already have. And if they are thinking politically and if they're believing politically in the things that are said and the Kool-Aid that is handed out at the closest MAGA booth with the red hats, the gold shoes, the sticky page Bibles, they will not find themselves in a position to even open their mind enough to recognize the truth before they vote. And the sad part is, if enough people make those choices and don't bother to look into it, they're voting without the full picture in mind. They're voting without realizing what they're voting for. And once they place that vote, if there's enough of those votes, that implementation of that battle plan that everyone wants to pretend isn't real will be real very quickly. It is already starting in different states across the country that are 100% Republican run. Look at the laws that they have put in place since they've been there, since they took total control. Look at the things they're putting in place. That should give you a good indicator of what it would be like if Trump gets into office. Remember, he wants to fire over 50,000 government employees and replace them with his own. He wants to make all of these things that we fought so hard for, that benefit so many people, he wants to make memories. We need to understand this is the most important election in this country's history, and there is more at stake than just bragging rights of the winner. And if you are serious about America first, or you are serious about taking care of this country, you should be serious about educating yourself enough for the facts to recognize there is a reason why this man has done everything he's done. There's a reason why every turn it seems like he's getting away with everything. But if you look at why he gets seemingly away with stuff, the people making those decisions are people he hired and he has control over. That is not a democracy. That is not the United States. That is North Korea. That is a dictatorship. That is Russia. Just like he says he wants the country to be more like. So please, ladies and gentlemen, don't let the politics of your past and your mom and dad's Republican Party guide you in a way that you vote against your best interests, your children's best interests, and the best interests of this country. Because now more than ever, we need to stay diligent, we need to stay kind, and we need to be educated. Because this country should be our inspiration for doing it right. God bless.